Hello.
One.
1 2 1 2. Welcome to the Back to School Jam panel talk. Ooh.
Word up.
So today's
Beer.
thank you all for coming here. First of all, big up to you guys. Today's topic or theme is hip hop in motion. So we're going to talk a little bit about how it's evolved throughout the years, where it's going, different perspectives on it. We got 3 amazing people all the way from the States to be here in Bergen. Big up to them.
Thank you.
So let's introduce them all, shall we? So, our first guest is a lyrical force from Brooklyn, New York, but rapping California. Give it up for Zeps.
Word up. West Side.
So Zach.
Next up is a powerhouse mover from New York, someone who brings the soul of the streets into every step. Big welcome to Law.
What's good, everybody?
Word up.
And last but not least is a true legend behind the decks, a New York pioneer who's been moving crowds since vinyl ruled the streets. Please welcome Rob Swift.
Thank you very much.
Who also happens to be my partner in life, so yeah.
Thanks, Liv. Thanks for bringing me out.
Love.
All right, Stig, any words?
Yeah, shall we introduce ourselves?
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Liv is going to be moderators and ask some questions and keep the flowing of the talk flow. And yeah, my name is Stig and my nickname is Stig På. That means welcome. And yeah, I grew up in Bergen and DJ and b-boy. Started out as a b-boy, but you can talk more about that. And really interested and honored to have these people here. And especially Rob Swift, that I got his CD we were breaking a lot to, under the influence from, I guess,
Thank you very
2003, something. Yeah. What happened? Ooh. Okay. Yeah. I represent Bergen.
Bergen. Yeah, I'm Liv. I'm the founder of Bergen Street Dance. The team, Christine is in the team as well. Big up to her. We try and, make hip-hop a thing in Bergen. So thank you all for joining in. And, keep the motion going, I guess. Okay, should we start with the first question? Everyone is going to answer this. We can just go this way, maybe. What was your first encounter with hip-hop, and what made you fall in love with the culture?
My first encounter with hip-hop was, I had an older brother that was into hip-hop, and he grew up with the first wave of kids breaking, DJing, rapping, writing graffiti. So I was about 8 years old, 7, 8 years old, and I witnessed it first in my living room. Just my brother would invite his friends over to our parents' house. We grew up in Jackson Heights, Queens, poor, to be honest with you, in a 1-bedroom apartment. And my dad, to make extra money, picked up DJing. But he wasn't a hip-hop DJ. He was a standard DJ. He would just play music. My brother was immersing himself, getting involved in the first generation, that first wave of youth embracing this nameless culture. At the time, it wasn't called hip-hop. And so my brother would invite his friends over to our house because we had the gear, thanks to my dad, who bought the gear to make extra money. So my brother's friends, my brother would make mixtapes, they would scratch records, they would break in the living room, and I would watch it as an 8-year-old kid, and that's when I discovered it. It was through my brother, and I would say by 9 years old, I started breaking. By 12, I started writing graffiti. A few months after that, I started DJing. And then by 15, 16 years old, I started rapping. So I've interacted with every element of hip-hop, and I discovered it organically, literally in my living room.
Dope. All right, Law, you're next.
So I feel like it's pretty much like the same with him in a way. The only difference is I was in Haiti. So my older brother, my stepdad, and sometimes my mom would listen to like hip hop music, and I would be able to like either sit with them and listen to the music that they was listening to during the time I was growing up, or I watch like music videos. And during those times, some of these music videos had like dancing in it, right? I think one thing that drew me into it more that has like a certain level of freedom, and it was by like Busta Rhymes. You were saying it in class today, like everybody put your hands where my eyes could see. That track and that music video is so live. So being able to watch it in Haiti, I'm like, bro, I've never seen this before. This is so fire. And
We're talking 98?
98, yeah. And I was like about 7, 8 years old, and I'm like asking my mom question like in Creole, like "Sami si fella," like basically telling her like, "What is he doing? This is so fire. This is so cool." And then my mom is like, "Oh, he's rapping." And then there's more like music that will come into like from 90s to like early 2000s I would listen to because of my family. And then I'll go outside whenever like me and my friends in Haiti are done playing soccer or whatever. My older brother would have like I don't know if this is a thing now if they still sell it. So the iPods, right? They used to have 2 speakers. They would connect the iPod in the middle of those 2 speakers, and they would play whatever music that's downloaded on the iPod. So my older brother would play the music while we was playing soccer, and this time, so I don't feel like playing soccer, I would just dance to the music. So some of these kids will also dance with me. I also have a twin brother, and he would also join with me with it. So that's one way we got introduced to it. So we was listening to music like the G Unit. We was listening to Busta Rhymes, Rakim, Nas, Jay-Z, Kanye West, and just plethora of like old school. And it was funny too because each time we was listening to these music, my older brother would also be inspired to like start like rapping or start like writing down. And I'll go to his notes one time and I saw like things that he would write down, right? Or my stepdad would educate me like, oh, this song was sampled from this track way, way back. Like you wasn't even born yet, da 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 da. So it was really cool to be educated by that with my family. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I just want to ask you something. What was your brother writing in Haitian, English, the French fusion language, or?
That's funny because like my brother was like he knows a total about like 4 languages, which is English, Creole, French, and he knows Patois, and that's like from Jamaica. And the reason why he decided to write in 4 of those languages sometime is because he thought it would be a cool idea to often like rap in like in English and then translate it to Creole or translate it to like Patois and stuff like that. Or like if you see like some of Busta Rhymes' music, or there was a time where Snoop Dogg wasn't named Snoop Dogg. He had this thing called like Snoop Line or something like that, where he had
Stuff.
yeah, the Jamaican
I
stuff.
remember. Snoop Lion.
So he had a time where he was just like listening to just like music, like different music, and he would add it to his rap.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
I was born and raised in Brooklyn, but this part of Brooklyn was a little different. It was called Sheepshead Bay, and it had a very like Irish Italian kind of way of speaking, like Sopranos accent. Oh, what are you doing? You in Bergen, Norway, doing a panel talk with Rob Swift? What are you, nuts or something? Like that's how I spoke as a kid. And right outside of my window was the older guys from my neighborhood called the Avenue U Boys, and they had a giant boombox, ghetto blaster, with the 2 cassette tapes. Yeah, borrow that. And a radio. It was fantastic. And then I would listen. I could hear the drums and the bass through my window. And then I would open the window, and it was like, this was 92, 3, so it was like Insane in the Membrane and like Big Daddy Kane and early Wu-Tang they were playing just outside of my house. And then, you know, my mom's doing dishes and cooking, and I'm just like opening the window as much as I can, like, oh snap, what is this? Because I was listening to like Linda Ronstadt and Dean Martin and Nat King Cole. Like that was my parents' music. And then I also liked rock and roll, grunge rock. But that the drums and the bass grabbed me. And then I'm a little kid, and I'm just like, I was like, oh man, why is my body doing this? And then they caught me peeking through the window and they were like, come outside. And then that was it. Oh, and then in high school, I learned how to rap because of this. That was my first rapping in the lunchroom, cafeteria, beats on the table, rapping at lunch. Word.
All of you three kind of like feels like hip hop just was in your living room or you were exposed to it. But for me and in Bergen, we had to seek it or find it, you know, because we didn't know much. When I was really young, like 10, 12, I was dancing at the disco and stuff, but did a Running Man. Didn't know it was called Running Man. Some backspin, something we saw in music videos, like early in the beginning. And then in 99, it was a jam. Actually a jam here in the big room underneath us. En Jam del En, it was called. That Mikael Tell had. Yeah, and DJP was then already scratching and doing his thing, and they were older, and then we were like, oh, it's a culture, it's something, you know, and we went to these jams that Utekontakten had, and they let us practice there and stuff, but before that, then I was like 16, 17, but before that it was my sister and my family was always into music, and she got one record per month in the mailbox. It could be Bob Marley and the Wailers, it could be Oslo Gospel Choir, but then suddenly it was Wu-Tang, and she didn't know it was called rap. But then, yeah, and Crisscross, I remember, totally crossed out and all this. And then Public Enemy, of course, but we didn't see the connection with rapping and graffiti, and so everybody who did cool stuff, like was skating and listening to rap music, we thought they were hip-hoppers too, or did snowboarding, or did cool things. We thought that was all a part of the hip-hop culture when I was like under 15. And then after that, we started learning, and we go to jams, and people picked us up, like Atomic B-Boys, T Productions in Oslo, and Sweden was way ahead, and then Norway in copying the culture, or what do you say, or like using all of this, like rapping and using all of these elements. And they were rapping in Swedish way before, and maybe some in Norway did before. You can arrest me, but I remember that I discovered that they were rapping in Swedish, and Norwegians were rapping in English, mostly American English. So yeah, the Swedish, we went to jams there, and they said, oh, this move you do is called CC, this is called that, and they learned us. We were like, oh, it has a name, and it gave much more value to the whole art form. So then we started practicing, and we came to Bergen, and we hooked up with everybody. And one funny thing before was in like 99 to 2005, you could go in Bergen, and if you went to the open place, Torgallmenningen, and you see maybe in summertime like a girl from France or something, you can see that she's from France, but she was. And then I saw like, oh shit, she has fat laces on her shoes. And then I said like, oh, you a B-girl? And she was like, yeah. Now they sell them with fat laces, the Puma shoes, you know. But then we could see on the style like, oh, you a B-girl? And she's like, yeah, I'm a B-girl. And she started eating with us and hanging with us and then training with us when she was on holiday, you know. And when we traveled also, all the B-boys, no matter where I traveled, you find your people, and they took care of you, and you sleep on couches, and you go to jams or practice and stuff. Now it's so big, so it rarely happens, but that was kind of exciting, and what I loved about the culture was that I grew up in Norway kind of easy compared to the poor, not poor, but normal, but what I liked is that there was no rules. The creativity, that you could do what you want to do, and you could practice it and become better, and you learn the basics and you flip them, and you had this very good form of creativity that you could get out. So yeah, and then started breaking, and yeah, got into DJing later.
Word.
Collecting records, yeah. I don't know, I forgot probably a lot, but it's a long story about Norwegian hip-hop, but yeah, I cannot say so much about that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll be quick. I see the time is running.
Yeah.
I'm from the generation after that hip hop wave you're from. So as you said, here you have to like find it in a way. So yeah, it was quite dead when I started out, to be honest. My first introduction would be my mom playing a lot of gangster rap when she was cleaning the house or apartment. So that was my first introduction to the genre. I've always loved dancing. I like danced a lot to Michael Jackson and stuff. So dance-wise, that's where I like knew I wanted to do dance. Which style I didn't know, but the music my mom played, me liking dance, kind of came together. And there wasn't a lot of jams at the time.
No, it wasn't. But
I started dancing in 2014.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
from 2003-4 to 2012, we arranged a lot of jams.
Yeah, so I started after you were organizing all the jams.
You do now, and it was a lot of the dance.
Yeah.
It was a lot of more people dancing, and it was bigger.
Yeah. So
we had the
after
youth house and everything. So yeah.
After that,
But then we got kids, and we stopped.
you would only find dance in like dance studios at the time. But later, my first reintroduction would be a project called Soul Sessions Community that the dance schools in Bergen did together with an organization in Oslo called Soul Sessions Oslo. So we got like monthly workshops with the best dancers in Norway. And that's when I knew this was more than just a dance style or a music genre, it's a whole culture. So we got to learn more like history behind everything. So yeah, that made me fall in love with it all over again, I guess. Yeah. Okay, Stig, you got a question to ask?
Yeah, I was thinking about this jam situation because most of the people in Norway discovered like the hip hop culture through the jams, like especially my generation and the ones coming after when we did the jams, where you had graffiti, people riding inside and outside, and you had probably a small rap concert at the youth house, and you also had some battles or just jamming, and of course DJs. We also sometime we organized also one time with DJP and Teddy Touch. You remember this like kind of like show battle thing? Yeah. Yeah, the Elements Club. Yeah, way before me. Yeah, before I could go to that club. So, but yeah, and people discovered through that. And now there is not so many jams. Liv, of course, does a really good job with doing that. But there is there was some years where there was no jams and stuff. And if you go to a studio and learn dancing, like Mats, you went to my classes and learned some dancing and stuff, it's totally different than go to a jam. So like what Oslo Soul Session did also, where they have the elements and people go there, even though they don't dance, they go there to maybe rap or see the culture. So I'm thinking about in the other countries, how has that developed? Like,
Personally, I see the same thing happening in New York City. I can't speak for you, Law, because I don't run in your circles, but I feel technology, iPhones, social media, video games, WhatsApp, basically every form of technology that we use today indirectly is discouraging us from coming together in public. So it's like we want to do things over our phones, right? We want to FaceTime instead of seeing each other in person and doing things. If there's a DJ playing out, a lot of times, for example, if I get booked for a show somewhere in New York City, I'll get asked on social media, someone would DM me, are they streaming your show so that I could watch it from home instead of going to the venue where you're going to be DJing live and seeing it, experiencing it in person? So no, I don't feel that jams and the whole concept of people getting together in person, which is the genesis of what hip hop is, people like you guys getting together in a rec room or outside in a park, interacting with each other, listening to music, being inspired by someone dancing or someone rapping or someone DJing. That's just not something that you really experience the same way that you did in the formative years of this culture growing. And for me, it's technology. And I know I can say it because I'm the oldest one at this panel. And so I've seen the change, you know? For example, as a DJ, I made a name for myself competing, entering competitions, DJ battles that took place in New York City, Los Angeles, Toronto, Canada, Tokyo, Japan, the UK, all over the world. And then the best DJs from each region of the world would meet in the UK and battle in person. Now that same competition happens online.
DMC Championship online?
Yeah, right, exactly. So it's like you perform from your bedroom and someone is watching you perform on their phones. They're not watching you in person. So for me, to wrap up my answer, technology has had a major impact on how we experience not just hip hop culture, but just life in general, the way we interact with each other.
Yeah, I also feel that you will lose a lot of future friends. So, like crews came up through jams. You meet people in Oslo and you hang with them. You go home with them after the jam and you chill and then you break again, and like we did. And then crews came out of this jam. So if it was a good jam or bad jam, it didn't matter because you got new friends, you meet people, you hang out with them. So that's kind of sad that the major situation is like that. And when I went to New York, I can just say in 2007 on the Rocksteady 30th anniversary, I experienced the New York breaking scene as very like rude and very like who are you and like very hard to get into. But all the other guys that came from Finland or Australia to this event that Crazy Legs and those guys had was much more open, and I'm still in contact with them today. So it was more like, but there were rivals in New York. I'm from New York, who the fuck are you attitude.
Yeah, well,
I'm like, I'm Stig, I'm from Norway. It was that kind of attitude. And then I won the battle and he was angry, you know.
Yeah, hip hop is a very competitive art form, and a lot of the competition revolves around what part of in terms of New York, what part of New York are you from? Then what group inside the city are you affiliated with? So it's competitive art for sure. But what do you think, Love, regarding the idea of jams not really taking place as in the same way that they used to now?
Oh, this is like a loaded question. It's crazy because I feel like social media is very much like a double-edged sword. It could be something that could use for good, depending on how you use it, because at the end of the day, the things that we have on us right now are tools. Depending on how you use those tools, it could either benefit you or it could put you in a place where you could get very, very like lazy or like, not as active as you would want to be. Or you need to be, not even want, but need to be. I feel like when it comes to jams, I can't really speak for Yosoko at all, but like in dance, when I see, for example, when I see summer dance live, I'd be like, excuse my French, but I'd be like, damn, I want to go. Because this live stream, I'm seeing a whole bunch of people, and I don't really care the fact that there's like so much views or anything like that. I just care for like what I'm seeing, and I want to be able to express that, in person. I want to be able to see what that is for real, outside of just like me being on my freaking phone. And sometimes that's why I said like social media, especially for dance, it could go either like a way where it benefits us or it could like shoot us in our own foot, I do feel like when it comes to jams, like when it comes to dance, the whole point of it is there's certain like jams, they do not live stream finals or the battle that much. They will cut it exactly at top 16 or top 8, and they'd be like, yo, you're just gonna have to wait until footage comes out. There's jams that does that, and now you're like itching and waiting, like, damn, when is the next thing? Who won? And that would get us to be inspired to be like, no, we gotta go there in person. So therefore, there's no more waiting. And this is another reason why, like, there's a lot of people who would go to these events because some people just cut the live stream. You got to be able to have like a limit on how much you want to share, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to dance, with that being said, there is actually a lot of people in dance. Understand that a jam isn't a building. It isn't the floor. A jam is the people. There's power in people. The more people you have, that starts a jam, right? It's the people, it's the music, it's whatever the environment is. Who creates that environment? It goes back again, the said people, right? Have good people, have educated people to be able to start a jam. You feel me?
I feel that's a really good point. And in Oslo, they made this real deal jam, where it was only a jam, invited loads of dancers, DJ play music, nothing happened for 6 hours, and just lots of ciphers and people dancing. And then I saw this, that the people on the phone and the people that was there, like, who is here, what's happening, they needed something to happen, like, but it's already happening. It's the jam.
Yeah, be present.
People, just
there.
be present, enjoy the vibe. People are dancing, it's chill. It's nothing like, now we're going to have a competition, now we're going to do this. Or, but I feel if you're a lot on the phone or you're not using a lot of these this technology and stuff, you want to have this instant kick that something is happening. Now we need like a headspin battle, or we need something extraordinary, something we can film. But there was just a jam, 6 hours, DJs, people dancing, people connecting, people sharing ideas in the cipher and all this. And that's kind of doesn't work so well with the today's youth, because it's kind of boring for them.
Well,
for some of them.
I'm gonna tell you why it's somewhat boring. It's crazy because like the OGs back home even have like the same issue, right? So me, guys, like I'm extroverted, but I do not go out clubbing. Like I would stay home. I'm gonna be 100%, 1000% honest with y'all. Law, you trying to club? Nah, I'm gonna stay home. But I do love parties. I do love house parties. You know what I'm saying? And I do like house clubs to a certain extent. I do think this is a thing that they said, which is very true. Club culture is dying, bro. Like I went to a club one time with a few of my mentors and stuff. Everybody is just like, they're just trying to be cool. They trying to be too cool. They're not trying to dance. Some of them not even dancing with their girlfriends, bro. Like, come on. You have a partner. Dance with her. They just like, nah, man, I got these new, you know what I'm saying? I ain't just too cool to be there. Bro, you out here. Go dance. Go do something. And the thing with some of my generation, I realize we are too focused on competition. Because if we feel like that's what brings the gigs, that's what brings the money, that's what brings the popularity. So when we're too focused on that, being able to dance with other people when there's nothing to be rewarded for, we feel like it's for no reason, and therefore we deemed it boring. So we like to be able to go live about that.
That's happening in my city now, where if we throw an event, they're like, is there prize money? And they're like, no, we're just ciphering. I'm good.
Oh,
and you're like, what?
Yeah, 1000%.
Come through. We'll have free water.
You know what?
And that's kind of a funny question, because people ask when we only threw jams, and they were like, is it going to be battle? And I'm like, there's a cipher. You can battle who you want to.
Call somebody out, yeah.
Or you need a stage and judges and
but this
prize money and everything.
This is the thing, though. Everything
weird. You can just
everything is being recorded. So a lot of people want to be like, because even like when it comes to like, I'm gonna go into your circle a little bit. When it comes to DJing, or when it comes to people battling each other, when it comes to rap, like, yo, I see you in the corner over there, I'm gonna rap with you, I'm gonna spit a few bars in the cipher and everything like that. Bro, there was no freaking cameras. There's gonna be people who would like to have the attention of a camera battling, because they're like, oh, I want people to know that I won. Or like, I want it to be like a debate, or whatever the case may be. Not knowing that the debate is literally the person in front of you, right? People don't want to necessarily live in the moment. They want to be able to live in the moment, but played back time and time and time again. So that's why it's okay to live in the moment and not have it being recorded, because that time that you have is special to you. It's for you. If I'm calling somebody out, it should be no sense where I'm like, hang on, bro, let me just go live real quick. Nah, bro, just do your thing, you know? And that's why another reason why like jams are like low-key kind of dying, because people are too focused on like, oh, if I post this out, it's going to have like 20,000 views, or I could go look back at it. No, bro, just focus on the moment. So, or people would hit me with this, hey, bro, come to this session. It's not going to pay my rent, bro, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, that's why.
So, it happens, you know?
I'm
But-
an MC, and my perspective was way different. Because dancer, DJ. As a rapper, this is 1999 to 2007 when I first came to Norway. Most MCs in New York were very greedy and very naive to the other elements. So I didn't know what a jam was. I never went to one. I never saw a b-boy in real life. I'm born and raised in New York. I never cared about it. I made fun of it. I was like rapping and being like, "Yo, let's go. We're gonna go to this b-boy thing at our high school." And I was like, "Nah, son, that's whack. Go spin on cardboard. Get out of here with that shit." That was me. Then I meet the Norwegian guys in New York, b-boys, King Wings crew. I come to this trip in Oslo and Bergen, and it took Norway for me as a New York rapper to perform on a stage with b-boys like ciphering while I'm rapping. I was 26 or 27. I had to be across an ocean in another country that appreciated my culture more than I didn't really appreciate. And then it slapped me in the face. I was like, why did I wait this long to have dancers with me on stage? Why? And then have the nerve to ask them to be in my music video. But I never went to one jam. And then this is why I wear this Fem Kroner chain. I was a rapper when I came to Norway, and then I left an MC because the dancers gave me a big ass hug. This dude, the Gathering crew, like all those guys, they just like, where you from, Brooklyn? Oh, get over here. We love you. And then the Soul Sessions, who Liv mentioned, they were the first people to book me to MC a battle. I never did it in my life, and she's like, we need you, your energy, we love you. You can do it in English because other countries are there, so we need a universal language. Can you MC? It's popping and whacking. And I was like, yes. I just said yes. And then I went on YouTube. I was like, what's whacking? Oh shit, that's crazy. You know, the arms and the beautiful moves. Anyway, I hosted my first battle, and I fell in love with MCing for this other element. And do you guys know Avatar: The Last Airbender? Or Captain Planet for me and Rob?
Yeah.
The concept of fire, water, earth, and wind, the elements of earth. And those cartoon characters fight with each element, and they can beat up bad guys, but then the super boss comes, and they're like, oh shit, we need all four elements together. So then Aang, the Avatar, has to learn how to bend water and move earth, and he already knows wind, and then he has to shoot fire. And that's what I teach the kids now. Let's bring jams back that have all four, because it's powerful when you have the four elements as opposed to just one. I didn't even want to rap with a DJ, Rob. I was like, yo, plug in my aux, son. I got my beats on my phone. And then you know what happened? I didn't put it on airplane mode. And in the middle of my ill-ass song, beep, 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 beep. Oh shit, and everyone heard my phone ringing, and I was like, I should have a DJ behind me. Yeah.
So I think we
Wow,
can all
nice.
conclude is that the jams has been way important for us. So to get new friends also, but to vibe it out, yeah, and to learn and go, yeah, get somewhere, because it's really important to see the connection between these elements, or else you would not understand it if you don't see it at one stage.
And you know what, Stig? Toast is good with butter,
Yeah.
but it's better with jam.
It is.
Word.
Really nice.
Okay.
The dad jokes.
The next question, you kind of tapped into it, Zeps, but I was wondering, you're all from New York. How is it being here in
No.
Norway, and how does it feel seeing hip-hop lived and loved from outside of your city?
For me, being from New York, traveling all the way to Bergen, and interacting with your community, lived it, and your community, right? The community that you guys have built. It's been awesome. And I feel like it's a testament to what hip hop really is, which is an art form that is for everyone to use, to interact with, to express your creativity, whether you write graffiti. Yesterday, I went to the graffiti workshop that you held, and just seeing kids, and not just young people, but young people of different races, right? Writing together and working together to paint this mural. To me, that's awesome. And I don't see that in New York. I feel like what I see in New York is a lot of posturing and, like you said, Lo, people wanting to film themselves for the sake of going viral. I don't feel that there's much of effort on behalf of groups of people to just be creative. And I feel that's what I'm seeing here in Bergen. Maybe not necessarily the way I experienced it as a kid, because as a kid, it was us painting without a Liv guiding it. We just did it on our own. We didn't need someone from a Bergen Street Dance organization to say, hey, on this day, we're going to paint the wall. We just went out and painted. Exactly. So it was different in that sense, but you know, it's a different time, and parenting is different. Back in the 80s, for example, in New York City, or in America, really, we called ourselves latchkey kids, meaning our parents went to work, gave us the keys to the apartment or to the house that we lived in, and then we lived and fended for ourselves as 11, 12, 13-year-old kids. Whereas now, it was interesting to see yesterday. The graffiti workshop was yesterday or the day before yesterday?
Tuesday.
Yeah, my day's all messed up.
Jet lag.
Yeah, exactly. But so Tuesday, after we finished, or you guys finished the graffiti workshop, you were waiting with the kids for their parents to pick them up. So, and when I was their age, there was no waiting for the parents. You just made it home somehow, you know? So in that sense, it's different from the way I experienced it as a kid, you know, comparing what I've been seeing here in Bergen now to what I experienced as a kid in New York City, let's say in the 1980s. But it's happening here in some way, and I don't really see much of that back home. So I love that Europe is still, you know, whether it's Norway or the UK or places like Germany, online I see a lot of the European hip-hop youth preserving the culture. I feel better than the way it's being preserved in the States. I feel like in the States, everything centers around the rapper or production, making music, and the DJ. But it's sort of isolated. It's not together. And I feel like here, especially what you're doing, Liv, with Bergen Street Dance, always showing love to the different elements, not just the dance element of hip-hop culture. I think that's super important.
Yeah, and I have to give a big shout out to the graffiti community also, because I feel many of them in the graph community has been keeping it real, or what do you say? But they probably because some elements of it is still illegal, and they are kind of more underground in a way. But there are people my age and older still living it and doing that. But they also started videotaping and releasing stuff and want attention. So yeah, but big up for them. Some of the graph jams and stuff I've been to in Oslo also is really, really nice. So yeah.
Exactly. Precise. So the thing with me is I was born in New Jersey, but I was raised in Haiti. Back and forth from Haiti to America, but like majority of my time was spent in Haiti. And usually during those times, I was being like basically educated. Well, not really, I'm not gonna say educated, but I'm gonna say been familiarized with hip hop culture in Haiti, right? So, because I feel like for me, being educated in hip hop culture, you would have to like, in my opinion, you'd have to like go to the States and talk to some of the people that pioneered it, or really is like deep about it, you know? If not, go there, at least talk to some of the people that's been like pioneered from it, cool? And who really understand the grasp of what it is that this culture does, you know? But for me, it's like I was raised in Haiti, and then I came back here in 2017. I came to Florida. So now I'm living in New York City, and it's like, whoa, it's different, you know, because I'm actually meeting some of the people that I saw on like my freaking DVD case thingy that they used to have, like where you put the DVD in and you flip the screen, and then there's like the videos. Now I'm seeing these people in person, and I'm actually getting to have a talk with these people and have conversation with these people. I do love what Norway is doing when it comes to hip hop. I feel like you guys do for sure becoming different elements into what hip hop is, not just focus on dance, but graffiti and DJing and also MCing. I love that. I love to see that. When it comes to the dance, I also love to see people here try. Like, I love that. It's not just for like, do I look cool in this or whatever? It's like, no, I really want to learn this. Like, Law, can you, you know? And I'd love to see that because, you know, if you're not trying, then you're not even moving forward within yourself. And possibilities is if people who really pioneered this culture, if they didn't try to feed themselves or make this a thing where they could look back at, it wouldn't as be successful the way it is now. Cool. They have to be able to put an effort into it to why it's like it is what it is right now. So I feel like it's the same thing that I would say for Norway. Just keep putting in effort. Just keep doing your thing. Keep connecting with people. Keep building a community. And then believe it or not, it's gonna grow. It's going to grow. I feel like when it comes to again videotaping, this is something that like again, it's a double-edged sword. I could watch a video and be inspired and be like, yo, this is dope. And also I could watch a video sometime and be like, this look TikTok as hell, this cringe. Like, in the dance community now, bruh, there's people who are just doing a lot of TikTok stuff. I'm not gonna cuss, I said stuff. You know, and it's to a point where it's like, it's getting really annoying. Cause like, they're too focusing on looking good and looking cool, whatever, than to the dance itself. And it's frustrating to see because it feels more so like acting than it is dancing, right? And it doesn't feel as genuine. So I do feel like Norway is doing a great job when it comes to being genuine and being a part of this with their heart. So that's all I ask for.
Word.
It's cool.
Jag älskar Norge. It means I love Norway.
Nice.
When I first came to Bergen in 2007, and I was with my buddy from Brooklyn, this Turkish dude, and he's from Brighton Beach, I'm from Sheepshead Bay. We're in this new country. It's like, oh, this is a beautiful place. Bergen's crazy. Also Oslo. All of the concert posters were everywhere on the walls, and this is 2007, and I'm looking at, it's like Tony Touch coming to Bergen, DJ Premier coming to Oslo, Boot Camp Click, like Helter Skelter live in Oslo, and it was all this real underground kind of boom bap stuff, and I'm like, they're all performing here? They're coming to this country? To like, because at the time I didn't realize how much more they loved it here, and a lot of the OGs that couldn't fill a small room in New York would go to Bulgaria or Poland or Czech Republic, and then there's like 4,000 people that know every single word. So that opened my brain, and I was like, yo, these countries love our art. Now, when I was a kid, you also had political rap that spoke about the streets, and you had your Public Enemy, and you had your Dead Prez, and De La Soul speaking about the world. Then I started noticing other countries doing the same. I saw a documentary on Mongolian rappers rapping about the government. And then you have like the female Arabic MCs that want to rhyme about having more women's rights. And then these indigenous rappers like from like indigenous parts of Europe that don't have their own land, like the Kurds and the Sami people that are spread across 3 countries, but they want to rhyme about their culture, how they raise reindeer and smoke meat and crazy cool shit like that, and they rapping about it in their native language. That blows my mind. So then living in Norway, me and my DJ were like, yo, Sweden's right there. Boop. Yo, Denmark's right there. Boop. Let's go to Switzerland. Boop. Let's go to Germany. Boop. Let's go to London. And everywhere I went, each person in each language was I found a dude that was nice on the MPC. I found a turntablist. I found a rapper. I found b-boys. And like you said, doesn't matter what country, the culture of hip hop made us go like, you're Armenian, I'm Turkish, I don't care. So to see world hip hop embracing what we started and then taking it to the next level and then seeing everyone on earth doing it, it's very inspiring. So like, I just want more people and more cultures to teach me about your culture through hip hop culture.
And
That's
also
right.
in Bergen, there was people booking these people, you know, that we went to these concerts, and like DJP or other people had clubs, and they were booking concerts with Loop Troop was here, and we had Fløyen Festival with who was at Fløyen Festival now again? I was breaking there a lot, but yeah, there was a lot. People were doing, yeah. And for me, it was an honor to like, or I was privileged to like be like 18 years old, and oh, the Alcoholics is coming to Bergen. And we didn't just go to a concert then and saw the Alcoholics on a big stage. We met them outside Stress, the hip-hop store. We talked with them, we hang with them, we saw them, we bonded with them, and CP is smiling now. But yeah, it was like, and when people made these events, they also had, and the support is Body Shock Breakers, and we have a DJ playing before and stuff. Now it's like, not even a DJ before a Nas concert, because he's so big, and actually one of the most boring concerts I've been to in Bergen was Nas, but I love Nas, but it was really a boring concert. he was not in his mood, but yeah, you know, like this kind of like, oh, you like hip hop, you're into hip hop, and everything got connected, and it's not many years ago. It's from 2000 to 2010, you know, stuff was happening.
And lived like, sorry, Robert, the dance community has been bringing, so when I MC the battles here, the judges are from other countries. Yeah. So I'm just a Brooklyn, Puerto Rican kid emceeing a battle, but then they're like, oh, Zeps, backstage, we have food. There's 2 Puerto Rican guys back there. You should meet them. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, shit, Mr. Wiggles, Poe 1. What the fuck?
Damn.
And I was like, ah. And he remembered me from 10 years ago. He's like, Zeps, what's up, bro? How you doing? I was like, oh, my God. So to be able to meet, I met like all these OG judges from other countries, Asia and France, and doing their thing. And I think the dance community is bringing us together in a good way. So thank you.
It was kind of different, but I remember the last jam I had you know Skim Richards from Philly?
Yes.
Yeah, I had him as a DJ for that jam. Also, he was playing, and people were. There was a jam in the room under here. And then we had 3 judges that was coming and having workshops. It was Freeze and Focus from Finland, and Rock's Right. The b-boy Rock's Right. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but yeah, they are like legends and big. And when we picked them up at the airport, they said like, oh yeah, Focus is gonna battle Rock's Right. Like 2 legends in breaking. And I was like, oh, I booked and invited both. Let's do it at my jam. You can battle, let's stop the car or whatever, you can do it tomorrow. And they were like, no, it's gonna happen in 2 years at this event in Sacramento or whatever. Like paid show battle stuff. I'm like, you want to battle each other? Just battle, like. And then no, it's business. It doesn't go like that, you know. And then was first time I felt like, where's the spark? You want to battle each other, or what do you want? You know, like you want to test each other, learn something, or. So yeah, that was kind of the last jam I had, and I was feeling like, oh, the b-boys are becoming superstars also, and good for them to make money and stuff, but it kills a lot of the vibe, you know.
I think just to wrap up the question that you asked, the differences between Norway and where I come from, the States, specifically New York City, in energy regarding hip hop, that dates back though to even before the 90s, even before the 80s, even before the 70s, the 60s. Think about Jimi Hendrix. He made his debut in Europe with the Are You Experience band, right? Groups or jazz artists like Miles Davis, John Coltrane would live in Europe and tour Europe more than the States. So in general, Europeans value art in a way that my country, America, doesn't. And I think, it's safe to say that that's just the case
You're right.
regarding music and art in general. For some reason, Europeans just see the value and appreciate art in a way that us Americans don't. We take it for granted. It's like we monetize it and make as much money as we can off it, and then it's on to the next thing that we could sell and turn into a commodity. Whereas here in Europe, it's preserved and studied, and you really appreciate it. And so coming out here, I always love it because I feel what I do is valued more than it is back home, to be honest.
On that note, what was your experience with the UK? With the UK and the DMC Championship, and
I mean,
how was
the World DMC Finals take place in the United Kingdom, and the DMC, as I was explaining earlier, is a competition that takes place throughout the world: Japan, the United States, Canada, all over Europe, the different countries, and then in the UK you have the World Finals. And as far as my experience, the last time I went to the UK to judge and take part in a World DMC, I want to say it was 2012. That was the last time. And then gradually over time, as social media and technology became the medium through which DJs use to promote themselves and share their creativity, the DMC itself started to go in that direction and host online battles. Then COVID hit, and we all know what happened with COVID and the lockdown. That really made a lot of changes as far as how we experience music. But I don't want us to go off on a tangent. I just wanted to say that, I think in general, Europeans, to your question, Liv, always have appreciated art, especially American art, because the three of us are Americans, right? Although I know you're raised in Haiti,
I was raised
but
in Haiti.
born in Jersey.
Yeah.
But I feel like the art that comes out of the States is valued more here in Europe than it is in the States, which is ironic.
To go back to that, I think my perspective on that is it's tiny bit different. It's tiny bit different only because when coming to America, they were the one that showed me what this art form is. So I got to see it from firsthand of how much they valued it. It didn't come from like Europe or anything like that. So the first place that I went to see this art form, like which is dance or hip hop in general, it was like from the USA. So that's why for me I'm like, it's a little different with this. Not to say that your experience is invalid, because it's not, because everybody lives through different experiences. But I think for me, from how kids even dance, it's different. I think it's valued so much, the fact that it's to a point where people are still creating different styles. For example, like light feet. Light feet is something that's a thing in American culture. Anything that has been adapting or anything that has been new first came from American culture. Then after that, it transcended from other places. And most of the people that we're talking about who cultivated hip hop are in fact American. So they always are creating something. I think the reason why certain Americans don't really value it as much is because it's right next door. If I want to talk to Buddha Stretch, I can. If I want to talk to Mop Top Crew, I can. It's like the train there is like 7 to 8 stops, and boom, Buddha Stretch is right in front of me. So they might not as value it the same, because a 15-hour flight compared to 7 train stops is like totally different. But as far as like back home in America, they do value it because they always are innovating it and seeing what are ways they could cultivate something new,
I think the difference, though, is you're talking from the perspective of someone who dances, whereas I'm talking from the perspective of someone who DJs in nightclubs. Mm-hmm. And if you're in a nightclub
now, the club culture is dead, bro.
You try to play full clip Gangstar at your average nightclub in New York today, and people are either waving their phone in your face,
Request, please.
right? Requesting Drake or whatever modern rap artist, Cardi B, or they're leaving. or yelling at you for playing Gangstar.
I'm gonna tell you
right?
this, right? Not to cut you off. It's because like times is evolving, times are changing. People don't. Well, some people are not educated about some of the music in the past, or certain people find it boring, aka my generation. Sad, but like that's just what it is. So due to the time things are evolving, they want to be able to hear on things that's happening today. Now, do I like some of the things that's happening today? I don't. I really don't. I don't really like Lil Yachty like that. I don't like Lil Baby, bruh. I don't. I don't like some of these rappers. But it's okay to stay informed about what's happening now and still be able to be educated in the past. This is something my generation don't necessarily know, because they're like, if it's in the past, then it's garbage. No, it's not. It's the reason why the past is the reason why we have the rappers that we have today. It's the reason why we have the Kendricks, the J. Coles, the Joyner Lucas. Eminem is still making albums. Nas is still making albums. Can't forget about Lupe Fiasco. Bro, like there's so many different rappers today. But then why
are the young kids in Norway, for example, embracing the old school? So in other words, have you seen that, or have you guys seen that TikTok? Liv and I talk a lot about it, or I talk to Liv about it. There's a TikTok where there's this guy with his phone and he's asking,
what did Wu-Tang want you to protect?
Man, come on, now I don't even know what Wu-Tang is.
They for the children, bro. Mr. Julius.
Yes, sir.
What did Wu-Tang tell you to protect?
To protect.
There's so much pressure, y'all. There's so much pressure. I just need to drop the offer.
All right, man. Keep doing what you're doing for the kids, man. What did Wu-Tang tell you to protect? Yeah, you have a nice day. What did Wu-Tang tell you to protect? Right. What did Wu-Tang tell you to protect? Oh my God. They for the children, man. Coach Smith, what did Wu-Tang want you to protect?
Protect your neck, flying guillotine till they come.
the guy asked like 10 people, 10 young people, and the majority of them are Black American. Finish this Wu-Tang lyric. Wu-Tang, I never heard of Wu-Tang, right? Tuesday, we're at the graffiti workshop. They finished their piece. Diana and another young kid that's a part of Bergen Street Dance put the Wu-Tang W on the peace sign. Right, exactly. Right? So it's like, that's what I mean. There's something about Europeans in general, whether they're 8, 9, 10, or adults. They just, I don't know, it's something about the way they receive music here. It's just different. And I don't necessarily know why that is, but that's why I feel like there's this, I don't know.
Rob, I think they treat it more like this beautiful archive / museum. Like they're like, we love this American culture so much that we need to do our part. Like the Soul Sessions Oslo kids, these kids are 14, 15. I walk into their little sessions and it's like Tribe Called Quest, and I'm like, what the hell? Why are you playing this? They're like, this is what we learn on.
And they also have teachers that are playing that for them. But in Norway also, in Bergen also, was like a period where you could play Gangstar at a club and people were coming like, come on, we're tired of that, you know, stuff like this. There've been periods, but nowadays it seems like 90s is coming back. Like the 90s boom bap is back.
And Rob, I want to
like when I see dancers here and they ask me like, hey, I like more soft, I like more Erykah Badu vibe. Do you have that? And when I play for the battles and stuff, and I want more aggressive. You have MOP, and I'm like, you know MOP? From you 15 years old, you know, like. But they have access to everything.
Yeah.
Through the internet, so in good and bad.
Rob, my buddies in Stockton, the DJs, when they get the YouTube phone requests, they have this screenshot ready. Oh, they go, yeah? What do you want to? Get out of here. And I'm on the mic like, no requests. Get the hell out of here.
I would say, though, to get back to Rob's question on why there's like a difference. This is rapper. I'm not going to say who it is because, like, you know, he's pretty famous. But he was coming across some kids, and he was asking the kids, like, yo, like, who's your favorite rapper? Or, like, what's your favorite album? And these kids would be like, oh, I like Nas, or I like Biggie Smalls, or whatever. And some of these kids would actually name the albums that these rappers was released, right? And this famous rapper, I'm not going to say the name, but this famous rapper goes and says, oh, why are you listening to that? Da, 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 da. Like, you're not even being yourself. So and that's in America. So basically now you have to understand, due to the fact that this rapper has like a voice and who is important now and who makes actually good music, but who has a voice and who is important now and in like this culture, especially in hip hop culture, him telling different kids that these kids are now looking at that interview or looking at him like, oh, so I'm not myself when I go and I listen to old school hip hop. So that's the gap, right? People want to stay informed about what's happening today to the point where they're like, if I listen to something back then, it's not cool. I remember when I first went to high school in America in like 2017, 2018, I would play like something like Rakim and they'd be like, boy, get that, woke music out of my face. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is fire. And it'd be like, nah, listen to this. And I'm like, bro, what is he saying? Like, wait, it's Playboy Cardi? I don't know what the heck he'd be saying, but those are the music that they would play, and I could never connect to it. So, and I think that's a problem sometime with America, is like they feel like if I play things from like that isn't of my generation or my generation before me, some of it deem it as something that's uncool. So yeah, that's it.
All right, let's move on. Let's circle a little bit back. Hip hop started as a voice for the voiceless. Do you think it still holds that power today? This is worldwide, not like Europe, Norway, worldwide.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it still holds that power. I think at its core, that's what hip hop is. It's this form of expression that experiences itself through 4 different mediums: dance, how you communicate with your body; auditory, what you hear, the DJ; music, instruments, sounds; oral, what you say, how you speak, the way you put words together and communicate your ideas; and then the visual, the graffiti, the art, the tagging, the piecing. And each medium of expression in terms of hip hop isn't formal. So it's not like you go to, in the States we call it Juilliard, to learn how to play piano or violin. With regards to hip hop, that's something that you could learn in your living room, courtesy of your older brother that DJs on your dad's equipment. Or you're in school and someone is going,
My name's Rob Swift and I'm a DJ. Oh, yeah. My name's Rob Swift. I'm a DJ. I like to go to clubs and records to play. Yeah.
Right? So that's what hip hop is. It's this, good job there.
Facts.
Zeps. That's what hip hop is. It's this informal form of expression. It's not formal. Although they teach hip hop in universities now, you don't have to go to school to learn how to dance. You could literally learn on the street, on pavement, in a park, how to dance. DJing, technically, although I teach DJing, you don't necessarily need me to take your hand and put it on a record and then move the record back and forth. The techniques that I teach as a DJ were created by kids like Grand Wizard Theodore, Grandmaster Flash, Grand Mixer DST, teenagers that were experimenting. So in yesterday's DJ workshop, I took Hannah, put her on a set, told Hannah, this is what you're gonna do, but the way I taught you isn't the way the techniques developed. The techniques develop with kids looking at the turntable and then asking, what if? What if I put my hand on the record and not just let the record play? What would happen? Let me try it. Let me move the record. And so, or a graph writer deciding to write his name or her name on a wall so that he or she can go viral. That was the equivalent of going viral in the 70s, was writing your name as many in as many or at as many different places as possible.
And on the train, so that the train moves.
And on
to
the
those
trains where the
places.
train is moving, so now you're writing your name on a moving canvas that goes from one part of the city to another part of the city. Hip hop is an informal way of expressing your creativity, and whether you dance, rap, DJ, or write graph, you don't necessarily need to attend a school to learn how to do it. So it is the voice of the voiceless to this day, for sure.
Yeah.
I think what I mentioned earlier, like Mongolian rap about the government, but I'm also noticing different cultures using the hip hop voice to then show their culture. So I follow this Mexican graffiti guy, and he used to do traditional graffiti, but now he does these giant indigenous symbols like Aztec and Incan faces. And that's his new graffiti. He's like, this is my graffiti love, but now I want to bring my culture. Or I'll see like a dance group from Nepal, and they're a hip hop crew, and they're popping and killing it, but they're all wearing the traditional clothes that their grandparents wore while they're doing the choreo and killing it. And a new style is born, yeah. So I think it is a voice for the voiceless, because you have, what's that kid from Gaza, Abdul? He was just walking through the rubble and like rhyming over Mob Deep beats about what's happening, and everybody was like, oh my God. And he had such a strong voice. Is that kid's name, Abdul?
I don't know his name, but to piggyback your point, Zeps, or how about, is it Camper's Crew?
Camp Breakers in
Camp
Gaza.
Breakers.
I follow them, amazing.
So
yeah.
to your point regarding Gaza, and to your question, Liv, is hip hop still the voice of the voiceless? Go on Instagram, do a search for Camp Breakers Crew, and you'll see kids the age of the kids that were dancing in this room earlier with Law, breaking with rubble behind them, buildings that were bombed out. And how are they expressing themselves? Through this, it's crazy when you think about it, through this street art, right? This art form that, again, you don't learn at a school or at a university. You learn it in the street. That's what these voiceless kids are turning to express themselves while their communities are being bombed.
And also the break
Right?
community in the whole world, and in Bergen also with Piero. Big up to him for organizing the event for fun for Camp Breakers. And everybody have done that so they could rebuild their dance school, but it was bombed again and again, and yeah, you know the situation.
And Rob, in your book, which I've been reading, they make the visual, like I'm reading it and I'm seeing it in my head. I feel like that was some of the Bronx, the backdrops of the Bronx, like the whole Bronx is burning thing. Those are just
Same backdrop.
collapsed buildings and,
Exactly.
and cinder blocks and
Exactly.
metal poles sticking out, and they're just like, oh, let's have some fun. I like that, man.
I also experienced when I traveled to Ethiopia. I met some breakers on the street there, some poor breakers, and they were also doing it to get by, make the time, have fun, think of something else than hunger and other stuff. So they were dancing in the streets there with just like a small, not boombox, not like the cool vibe in the 70s in New York, but with the speakers and stuff, like a Bluetooth speaker, and they were dancing and just doing their own thing, you know. Stand-up dances, like it looked like hip-hop dance style, and also on the floor and doing that. And I talked to them and immediately tried to learn them, and I learned from them. And so it's all over the world, especially with the dance.
Hey, Law, is there Haitian rap
So
that's talking
definitely
about?
a voice for,
Is there Haitian rap that talks about like the crazy shit that's happening over there?
1000%. There's a lot of Haitian rap. There's Isola, this Boycott crew. Like there is a lot of Haitian rap over there, and the thing is, they talk about a lot, and it's to a point where even me, like sometime when I dance, I utilize some of the dances that I learned from Haiti, and I put it into my hip hop bag. So that's a voice for me. So some of the people that's like, yo, Law, what do you do with that footwork? It's not house, it's not hip hop. What is it? It comes from Haiti. So that's a voice that Haiti was able to give me that I'm able to like basically push out to, you know, worldwide, like different places, because there's also a lot of things happening in Haiti, and there's a lot of things happening in a lot of different places, yo. Honestly, And a lot of ways that people cope with it is also through hip hop. It is like from the music and how they're able to like transition that and be able to cope and connect with other people is for sure through that. Like the music, what they would talk about, what they would rap about, graffiti, DJing, whatever the case that may be. The best way that they're able to cope with it sometimes is through that. Same with Haiti. So yeah, I think that's it. And also Rob made a really, really good points with that, with how like things are connected to that. So yeah.
Noise. All right, last question, and then we'll open up for questions in the crowd, shall we? Okay, so where do you think hip hop is headed for the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years? And do you have one thing you want the next generation of hip hop heads to remember or understand about the culture?
This is a silly answer that I actually talked about with my kids. They've been asking me, Daddy, what's happening in the world? Like they're seeing the news and I have to kind of explain it to them. I think we need to do Earth hip hop. I keep joking with everyone. Where are you from, Zeps? Midgard, I'm from Earth. Because I have to explain, I'm Puerto Rican, from New York, I live in California, it's too much. We need to train Earth humans to be sick at hip hop so when the aliens come, we stop fighting each other and bombing each other, and then we battle the intergalactic b-boys and DJ competitions with the space aliens. But that's for real. I really feel like hip hop can. I said it earlier. You can have two people from countries that really don't like each other, and they don't care because they just want to learn. Yo, how did you do that move? Show me that move. That's what I care about. So yeah, I think we're just gonna bring culture together with hip-hop culture and then learn from each other. Learn a Haitian dance move. Learn how to top rock in a, what's that?
Hulling style.
Oh,
Norwegian
word.
dance style.
Yeah, see? In a bunado, what is that called?
Is,
on May 17th that the girls wear?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
It's like
dance
Norwegian
battle.
breaking, Hulling.
I like the thing you said there, Zeps, because a few years ago, we had an exchange student from Japan studying in Bergen, and he attended classes in open sessions. He didn't know English very well, and we had another member and student. He was at the time, I think, 9 years old, didn't really know English, but they were every week at the open practices, they would communicate through dance. And they were both breaking, and he would like learn him moves he didn't know about, but no talking, only body language. So yeah, you really have a point there, Zeps, yeah.
And I think they say 70% is non-verbal or something like, but with the body language, easy. In Ethiopia too, good friends from all over the world without communicating with words.
Yeah, hip-hop is a universal language, yeah.
Can you just repeat the question? Because I was like moving around, sorry.
I said, where do you think hip-hop is moving for the next 5 to 10 years? And do you have anything you want to say to the next generation of hip-hop heads, like advice or things they need to understand about the culture?
I think that's an interesting question because on the one hand, and I'm going to sound like law, right? It's like a double-edged sword because we have so much access to information now. It's incredible. I have a DJ school called Brolic Army DJ School, and it's an online school where you can learn how to DJ and perform from the most basic task, dropping on the one, looping a beat, or transitioning from one song to the next, to the next, to the next, to the more complicated, intricate techniques that DJs do at the competitions that I was describing to you guys earlier. And I have students from all over the world that are subscribers to the school and are learning about this amazing art form from the comfort of their homes. So they don't have to fly to New York to train with me. They could learn from home. Or from their phone on a bus, they could watch a video and learn about the history of the techniques that I teach. So in that sense, having the access to information, thanks to the internet, thanks to technology, I feel the future could be a bright one because there's strength in numbers, right? And the more people flock to this culture that we call hip hop, the more it grows, the stronger it becomes. But then on the flip side, I feel like some people use technology, to Law's point again, for the wrong reasons. So they enter hip hop not for the expression of it, but for the social currency that you gain from saying you're a DJ, or the social currency that you gain from saying you're a dancer or a rapper or a producer. It's almost like if you put that in your bio, people think that you're gonna get more followers.
Facts.
Right? So it could go in two different ways, right? So if it goes in that way, not to be pessimistic, but the future doesn't really look that bright, because then people are entering this culture for the wrong reasons, to benefit in some way. They're focused on the outcome. I'm gonna say I'm a DJ and take promotional pictures of myself in front of a controller, smiling like I'm a DJ because I want followers, and eventually I want to get booked at nightclubs. And you don't even know how to do the most basic skill that I taught Hannah yesterday, which is dropping on a one. And I'm not exaggerating. I've seen DJs that don't know how to operate their gear get residencies at nightclubs and get paid. So what's the future? I guess there's parallel universes. So if you're someone that is social media influencer oriented, then you're going to contribute to the destruction of the culture of hip hop. But if you're more oriented in expressing yourself, interacting with people, pushing yourself, learning something new, not to keep going back to Hannah, but something that I really liked about yesterday, Hannah, with you, was that we're in a room with people. I'm asking you to do something that you've never done before, but you embraced the challenge, right? For the experience, to see if you could do this thing that you know can be done, right? And you got up there and you were awesome, right? So now you discovered this hidden talent within you that you probably would have never tapped into, right? That's what the culture's about, is tapping into your voice, your creativity in a non-conventional way, in a way that isn't really accepted or thought of in the greater world, right? Like, we're socialized to go to school, learn something, get a job, get a family, pay bills, and then die. You know what I'm saying? But hip hop is pushing you to do things in a non-conventional way. I never thought that when I was 12 years old and I started learning how to DJ on my dad's equipment, that as an adult, I would be flown to Norway to teach this art form that I learned from my brother for fun. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's these parallel universes, and depending on what you're in it for, that's what you're going to experience. So if you're in it for the culture, for the love, as you are, Liv, then the future's a bright one. If you're in it for the commodification, the monetization of being a DJ or a rapper or a dancer or a writer, graph writer, then your future is based on what you could get out of this culture. And if that's what you're doing it for, it's going to die out fast, because you're going to go on to the next trendy thing to do within a year or two, you know?
Posers.
Facts. Facts. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, Rob pretty much said everything I was thinking, bro. Like he did. I do feel like when it comes to those things, yeah, like the whole point about being in this culture is to like enjoy it and stay educated in it and build right from it, but also like inspiring the people that's going to come next, right? Because that's really, really important. The people that's gonna come after. Like he was saying, like when he was teaching her, she was able to get out of her shell and do whatever he was like basically teaching her to do. And I seen it with you. I seen it with you as well. It's like these things are important because they're shaping up for the next people that's coming, that's actually genuine about the culture and the art form of this. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how you kind of like create a community. That's how you help the culture grow. That's literally it. But I do think that like if there's more people like that, and not just from like, I'm talking about worldwide. Worldwide, if there's more people like that worldwide, that's more like community based and more genuine about what it is that they want to do within this culture, then yeah, it's gonna be pretty good. But if it's just like, yo, bro, I don't even know what I'm doing, but they say they're gonna pay me $1K though, so like I'm here. Nah, it's not about that. Some people just want jobs just to get a job, but don't even know how to operate it. And with cultures, that could be really, really messy because now you're informing people of something that you don't know. So when they do actually go back to the people that actually knows about it, now they're confused like, yo, but this person told me this. He told me you don't have to transition to songs, or it doesn't have to be in a loop, or whatever the case may be. And now you're probably looking at that person like, who told you this? So it's important to make sure that those people that you're teaching or whoever you're learning from actually knows what they're talking about and is actually genuine. Cool. As far as like dance, this is this dancer who is from Europe. I don't know. I'm not gonna say his name, but like he was like teaching something, and he was just like basically saying like, oh well, you don't have to learn this and da 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 da. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I was like, but you're teaching hip hop, right? And he was just like, no, I feel like what I'm doing is too cool to be called hip hop, bro. What? What are you talking about? It's like, it's because there's different things in it. And I'm like, but your main base, how you always start off, it's hip hop.
Hip hop is everything.
Exactly.
It is everything. So
exactly. And then they're like, nah, I'm gonna name it something else. And I'm like, that's crazy. So that's how you know when that person is just in it just for the money compared to someone who's in it not just for themselves, but for the love of what this is and the people around them, based off how they talk, how they view things, and how they are seeing the next possible future for what it is that they're doing. That's all.
Nice.
I'm still learning. I think that's important too.
Always a student.
When I'm teaching the kids, I'm like explaining how to write rhymes, and then they're like saying weird slang that I'm an old man. I'm just like, what? What's Sigma? What's skibbity toilet? What's no cap? So teach me, right? Teach me that. But even as a dance battle MC, you know Wild Child Liv? Or you know Wild Child? Emmanuel? Step Fiends? Yeah. Puerto Rican dude. I was in Christian Sand, and I'm still learning how to be a dance battle MC, and I know there's a 2 verse 2, and then Law's gonna dance, and then Stig's gonna dance, and then Rob's gonna dance, and then Liv's gonna dance, and they each have a round. And then the second round came, and both kids jumped out together and started doing like this choreo thing, and I started freaking out, like, oh my God, they're breaking the rules. They're only supposed to have 1 solo each. What's happening? And he could tell I was kind of getting a little flustered, and he came over to me. He's like, it's called a commando. It's okay. It's cool.
That counts for 1 round.
Yeah, it's all right. They're just gonna do a little thing together. One of them's gonna fall back, and then the other one's gonna keep going. Just let it happen. And I was like, thank you, bro. I appreciate it. And then I even told the whole crowd, I didn't know what that was. My bad. And then everyone was like, all good. Zeps, cool. And then he got on the mic and explained it more. And I learned in front of the whole crowd, in front of the judges, the MC learned what a commando was. So yeah, I'm still learning. Let's keep teaching the kids. And I think the future is right here. Opening dance studios, teaching DJing to people in New York, Haiti Earthman in New York, learning and teaching. I want you to meet my niece who goes to dance school in New York. Yeah, and cypher with her. And
She's amazing,
my old friend Stig. I love you guys. Hell yeah.
I just want to say in the dance scene from before and how it's now is like we have this peace, love, and unity and having fun. And I think that peace, love, and unity is it's good like statute in this, and everyone's welcome. You don't think like how do you look. It's about your skills and your style and your flow and whatever in all the elements. If you're 80 years old and you do graffiti, it's what you do. It's not like how you look. Like that. Of course you can dress fresh or whatever, but people have their own style. But I miss having fun. I think that element is, or that part of peace, love, and unity, having fun is it's kind of gone more and more away. At the jams, the battles, people are stressed. You get a number. It's your turn to do your routine that you've been practicing a long time, and you don't want to mess up. And it's more of a pressure. Everything's filmed, and this. I want more joy, more joy, having fun, because then the creativity comes, and then people will develop. So I miss that. I'm feeling like having fun is more and more gone.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah?
I feel like, this is my opinion. I do feel like having fun, the reason why things are not like the way it is right now, or the way it...
This is the breaking scene I'm talking about, yeah.
It's possibly because, like, I feel like the art form, and this is true, I feel like art sometimes is a reflection on what's happening in the real world, right? You don't know what people are dealing with. You don't know why people are stressed. Sometimes there's breakers. I went to a breaking battle, and there's this breaker who's super, like, tense. And I'm like, bro, what's going on? Oh, bro, like, I want to be able to compete, but, like, my family is in Gaza. Or, like, there's people that's like, yo, I got to pay rent, and I have to win this, or I'm going to be kicked out. Or there's people that's like, yo, like, sometimes because times are changing so much, and this is when she was saying, does hip-hop have a voice? Sometimes we go to these jams or to these events thinking that this is going to help me escape, right? And sometimes it does help. Sometimes it is a way of escaping. But, like, bro, once you're done, once it's time to go home, you're back to reality. So what we do as people who really love this art form, believe it or not, like, our life is a reflection into what we do. It is. Like, the reason why I'm so passionate about dance is because, like, bro, like, I can't even go back to Haiti. Like, it's crazy. There was a time where, like, even though I was born in New Jersey, because Haitians were banned in America, my mom bought a ticket to go to America. She couldn't even come through, bro. And then I had to teach class that same day when I got that news. She was supposed to see me perform like a week prior to that, but she couldn't. And then I have to teach class. And then everybody looking at me like, Lord, what's going on? You okay? And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm fine. There's a reflection to that, So sometimes fun is often missed out because we have a lot going on. But my biggest advice to anybody that's dealing with things is, like, live in the moment, be present. It's really, really important to be present, right? Because you only live one life. Enjoy this while you can. Enjoy it while it's still there, while it's present with you. Cool? So that's it.
Yeah, word.
I think a good reminder too is the saying, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's Grandmaster Flash, but each one teach one.
Facts.
I think that's to end this question, I think that's a good reminder for teachers, students. Like, you're always a student in this culture. There's always something new to learn, if it's an element, or learn from each other and give back. Yeah.
Stay humble.
Stay humble. Word.
Facts.
All right. Questions from the crowd, shall we? Any questions?
Hip-hop related.
Rob. Yes. The Bomb Volume 1, the Turntablist album, which you participated in, I think it was released in 95.
Yeah, I believe that's right. 95 or 96.
Yeah, I listened to it in 96. It inspired me a lot. Do you know the history of that project?
I do. So the Bomb compilation is a series of albums that focused on the DJ specifically. And the curator of those albums was a guy named David Paul. Thankfully, he's still with us. He comes from the West Coast of the United States, and he had a magazine back when magazines were a thing, before social media, before smartphones, called Bomb Magazine. And so in the 90s, you know what's interesting about the 90s? All of us pretty much have heard the conversation about the 90s being the golden era of hip hop, or the best 10 years of hip hop. As a DJ, I don't really agree with that, because in the 90s, I would say by 1990, when Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and a lot of those West Coast artists started to blow up, you started hearing less and less and less scratching on records. And the only hip hop groups that you would hear scratches from on hip hop records would be groups like Pete Rock and C.O. Smooth, Gangstar, Premier and Guru. But the truth is, Dilla, like in the later 90s, but for the most part, those 10 years that we reference as being the golden era of hip hop, as a DJ, I don't necessarily feel was golden for me, because DJs were being phased out of the music. So the prototypical hip hop song features a rapper, obviously a beat that the rapper raps over, and then in the chorus, the DJ is featured. And the DJ, what he or she is doing is scratching sounds, words, and there's this synergy taking place specifically between the rapper and the DJ. But in the 1990s, it became the rapper and the producer. That's where the synergy became the focal point, and DJs were being phased out. So much so that there was you know how you guys now, DJs, have controllers, and controllers act like turntables. They're digital versions of what a turntable does. Before controllers, there was a machine called an instant replay machine. And this machine allowed rappers to play their music without the presence of a DJ. So in the 90s, what was happening was rappers were taking this machine, it was like a machine about maybe this big, on the road with them on tour, and leaving their DJs home so that they didn't have to pay an extra hotel room or pay the DJ a fee for performing with the rapper. And they would take this instant replay machine and have the road manager of the group hit play and then stand there in front of the machine while the rapper was on stage performing the songs. I was DJing for a guy named Macanelli, who to this day I have so much appreciation for, because he was one of those rappers that was like, nah, the audience has to see a DJ behind me playing the music, because I want to present hip hop the same way my heroes did. Run DMC, Big Daddy Kane, EPMD, LL Cool J. These were rappers from the 80s, which I personally think is the real golden era of hip hop. And if you go on YouTube right now and do a search for LL Cool J 1980s performing live, you'll see the DJ behind him, and he's talking or pointing at the DJ, talking about the DJ. The DJ's a big part of the show. So in the 90s, being that this started happening, guys like David Paul, who was the person responsible for the Bomb magazine, decided to do these projects, curate these projects that focus strictly on the DJ, almost as a, excuse my French, fuck you to rappers. So the Bomb album that you asked me about, each song on this album, it's only a DJ. So my track is me performing a routine with records that I would use in battles. And he made that into its own song. So it's me literally just doing beat juggles and scratching. And that's a song. And the Invisible Scratch Pickles, Mixmaster Mike, DJ Qbert, Apollo did like a team routine where like the three of them were just scratching together the way a band would play with different instruments, but it was done on turntables. And the album was such a success that they did a series of these albums. So each Bomb album, you're only gonna hear a DJ and no rapper, and that was done intentionally because in the 90s, DJs were being phased out of the rap music. So I dare you guys, listen to 90s hip hop, go home or on your way home, listen to a lot of the 90s hip hop that came out, and you're gonna notice that 99.9% of the music that you hear has no scratching in it. It's either a guy spitting the vocals and then saying the chorus himself, or the producer or the rapper or the record company hired a singer, someone like Mary J. Blige, to sing in the chorus, but you won't hear scratches complementing the music. So DJs like myself felt offense, and we started our own little culture, our own little niche community, and a renaissance took place. And then albums like the Bomb compilation started to be released. Labels started signing DJ acts. Independent label named Asphodel signed my group, the Executioners, to a label deal, and we did the first turntablist. We call ourselves turntablists because we use the turntable like a musical instrument. And we released the first turntablist album. We use rappers, but I'll end with this. That was a fun experience because before we recorded Expressions, which was our first album, as the Executioners, each of us, myself, Rock Raider, Mr. Sinister, Total Eclipse, the four members of the Executioners, DJ'd for different rap groups. I DJ'd for Akinelli, Rock Raider DJ'd for Showbiz and AG, Total Eclipse DJ'd for Organized Confusion, and Mr. Sinister was Common's DJ. So when we would go to the studio, it felt like they were our boss, because it would be like, Rob, all right, we're recording this song, wait until I finish recording my vocals, then you could scratch. Or Common to Sinister, I want you to scratch this word. It's like we weren't giving complete 100% freedom to record, because it was the project that belonged to the rapper that was signed to the record label, and we were there more as help, right? So when we recorded Expressions, it was dope because we invited the rappers to come work with us. So it was us saying, sit down, wait 20 minutes. When we're ready for you to record your rap, then you're gonna record your rap. We gotta do these scratches first. You know what I mean? Right, exactly. Right, exactly. And then when we're done, we'll let you walk into the vocal booth and record your vocals. So it flipped, and we were the ones in control of how we were recording the music and how we were presenting it. And the Bomb compilation, honestly, was the linchpin for all of the turntable-oriented albums that came out after. So when the Invisible Scratch Pickles dropped Clams of Death vinyl on the Asphodel record label, when we dropped Expressions, and then went on to record Built from Scratch, the first major label release by a turntablist group. The genesis of that, what launched that, what catalyzed that era for DJs was the Bomb compilations. So yeah, I'm glad you asked that.
It's a really good
Thank you.
point. I just had to comment on the you're talking about the whole 90s, but me listening to a lot of 90s rap, I feel maybe in the beginning of the 90s when we have the Lords of the
You still had
Underground,
it,
and
right?
And
I would say,
they were
but like
all
94.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I would
No,
say
it's cool.
I would say between 94 and 99 was when
When it
DJs
happened,
got phased out, and it became, you guys know, it became the bright lights, the getting jiggy with it, right, shiny suits, and it wasn't really a place for the DJ to like be in the videos anymore, and it became all about the rapper. And so for me, that's why we say the 80s actually was the golden era, because in the 1980s, watch I'll make a bet with anyone in this room, $100.
Why I gotta be so high, bro?
Why?
Come on.
Watch, because
Go on
this
YouTube.
is how certain I am.
Pick up YouTube. Check. $100.
Go to YouTube, watch any hip hop video, pretty much. You're gonna see the rapper, the DJ, and dancers. You're gonna see those three elements. And even if you go, earlier in the 80s, you'll see the rapper, the dancers, the DJ, and some kind of graffiti. Then you go to the 90s, go to like 1994, 1995, you're gonna see the rapper and that's it. Or you'll see the rapper and half-naked women.
Facts.
You know what I mean? You're not gonna see like hip hop the way Bergen Street Dance is trying to represent it with the four elements, or any of the stuff that we've been talking about. And so again, that's why we say the 80s was actually the golden era, because the 80s was when the four elements moved together in lockstep, and it got separated by like 1994. So you're right, by the mid 90s, that's really when it started.
Because we know the early videos from the 90s with Lord Finesse and Lords of the Underground and other. It's like a jam, like a hip hop jam, and the camera goes there and there. They're all kind of similar, all these videos. And they also introduced the DJs, like Low Jazz hit me one time, make it funky, and Low Jazz come in, and you had the scratching and the parts. So it was like, but that was really early 90s.
And Rob, I just realized,
interesting.
I bought Built from Scratch at Fat Beats, and then a dude that was with me is like, why are you buying that DJ album? And I was like, because I think I remember one of the songs that was like Executioner Style with Big Pun, right?
Pun and G-Rap.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, I love DJ culture, so I bought this album. He gave me a little bit of shit, like, why are you buying the DJ album? I was like, there's rappers on it, chill. And then another guy was like, you want more albums that have DJs featured? And this is Fat Beats in like 99, 2000. And then he picked 3 albums for me. He's like, grab this nonfiction. By the way, that's DJ Eclipse. I was like, sick. Here's Jurassic 5, Cut Chemist and Newmark, and here's Dilated Peoples with Babu. Buy these 3, and then you're gonna hear what it should have been sounding like. And then shouts to that guy for giving me those albums. And shouts to that Built from Scratch album.
I'm gonna piggyback off those things because this is so funny. This is like, the reason why I was like laughing a little bit is because the reason why these things are happening, and it's happening with dance right now, which is crazy, is because, bro, excuse my French, there is too many fucking directors. Excuse my Creole. Yes. There's too many directors. And there's certain directors that get hired for a job and they don't have no idea or any experience for that job. So they start cutting people out to highlight the main star or the main act of whatever it is that they're doing. But if it wasn't for the people that actually presented the culture the way it's supposed to be represented, those people wouldn't have been there in the first place. So I remember when I was doing a show, and this was crazy. And one of the directors was like, yo, we want more energy. And then there was a kid dancing with me. And I was like, I wanted to be able to basically connect with the kid the best way that I know I can with dance. And then he was just like, no, you got to put more energy. Cool, put more energy. The kid looked at me. He was like, bro, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know, talk to your director, bro. This is something that he wanted. And he said, okay, you guys are going to have a hip-hop solo. Both of you guys. And I was like, okay. And I whispered to the kid, I was like, how about this? Like, we're going to do it like this in front of him, but when we get to the actual show, we're going to do our own thing. He was like, all right, cool, bet. High five. Cool. So it came to a point where we're introducing ourselves and what we do. And the kid, so proud, he said, I'm a hip-hop freestyle dancer. The director was like, cut, no. And then he was like, why? It's like, no, you have to say, R-style dancer. I'm like, what the You have to say R-style dancer because that's what's like, you see Red Bull, da-da-da. I'm like, oh, you don't know what this is for real. They just pay you and you just gather people around to kind of promote yourself in a way or whatever is going to bring the most money. But really, you don't really care about the dignity of what this is. You just want to be able to just do whatever you want. He was like, no, you don't understand. This is like a business. It's nothing personal. And I was like, that's crazy. It's crazy. And that's how it is. People, the reason why things are happening the way it did for back in your time is because there was more directors. Certain directors want people cut to highlight certain things because in their mind, it was like, this is promotional value. And this goes back to same with like using social media, right? If it's only about promotional value, the whole point of having your integrity, having dignity, and being genuine about what this is goes out the window. That's why I was laughing, because I was like, damn, this actually really connects. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Talking about rappers and DJs, I want to give a shout out to William. He's a member in Bergen Street Dance. He's on vacation with his family right now, so he's not here. I know he has big FOMO right now. But he's only 16 years old, and he always include a DJ in his concerts. He scratches. He's working on a new album right now. It's dropping in September. You gotta look for it. His first album, he dropped an EP 2 years ago, but he includes scratches in his songs. But yeah, so I feel like some of the newer generations try to preserve.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's go. Shout out to William.
Okay, we got time for one more question. Yep.
I have one question, and I'm not quite sure how to like phrase it, but there has been like discourse in Norway right now about like white people participating in hip hop or like rapping, pretty much. And for me, I'm kind of like, I'm not quite sure where it's going, because I'm from like the ballroom community, and we are kind of like strict on who we let in. Like we're kind of like what's the word for it, like guarding, you know?
Or
you know?
they say it now, gatekeeping.
Yeah,
Gatekeeping.
right. Because you know the ballroom community comes from like the reason why it exists is because of like oppression, and it comes from New York as well, with like a lot of black people and Latin people. So I'm kind of like interested if you guys have any perspectives on how, like, do you have like any thoughts about that? And if so, how would like that go if a white person wants to?
Eminem, bro.
Rob is ready for this question. I'll tell you that.
Eminem, bro.
Eminem, right. I have a gazillion thoughts about it.
Yo.
I'll just try to keep this as concise as possible. Hip hop is not ballroom. It's not rock and roll. It's not jazz. It's not punk rock. It's not classical. Hip hop is amorphous. And what I mean by that is it's not one centralized culture. Hip hop is ballroom, jazz, rock and roll, punk rock. It's everything. It's not just one individual thing. It's everything. So in hip hop, the beauty of our culture is that it takes from different ethnicities, it takes from different cultures, it takes from different forms of expression. Literally, there are breakers that you could talk to, OG breakers from, let's say, the second generation of the dance, the breakers that were responsible for introducing breaking to the world. I'm talking about crews like Rocksteady from the Bronx/Manhattan, Dynamic Rockers from my area in Queens, Floor Masters who were in the movie Beat Street, and right, they went on to become the New York City Breakers, but originally they were called the Floor Masters. The generation of breakers that introduced the dance to the world, a lot of them were influenced and inspired by the kung fu movies that they would watch on Times Square. If you watch a martial arts film, you'll see a lot of the actors, the fighters in those movies, do moves that today resemble, or you'll see, let me actually rephrase that. If you, let's say, watch a breaker perform a windmill and then watch a martial arts film, you'll see that windmill resembles a move from a movie that they might have seen in Times Square, like Five Deadly Venoms or Drunken Master.
Yeah, I was about to say, especially Jackie Chan films.
Right, exactly. So the point that I'm trying to make is that hip hop isn't punk rock, it isn't jazz, it isn't ballroom, it isn't one thing. It's all of those things. And you have the freedom to incorporate and express yourself in any way regarding hip hop. So to say, as far as hip hop is concerned, I can't speak for the ballroom culture, but as far as hip hop, because it takes from everything and then it sort of like spits it back out in this creative way, because of that, you can't say that if you're a white rapper, you're appropriating hip hop culture, or if you're a white DJ, you're appropriating hip hop culture, because a lot of the music that inspired the hip hop that I listened to in the 1980s came from white artists. You know what I mean?
Or Asian kung fu movies.
Or Asian kung fu movies. Think of Wu-Tang.
I was just about to say that.
Right.
Shadowboxing.
Shadowboxing.
The intro
or
to that song.
just the name, Wu-Tang Clan. It's right. It's Asian. So hip hop.
It's not from Staten Island.
Right, exactly. And
RZA.
Wu-Tang is a great example because they're so amorphous that they appeal to. I mean, how old was the kid that did the W with Diane?
9.
9 years old. A 9-year-old kid knows what that W means, right? That's how amorphous hip hop is. Hip hop that's authentic, not the commercialized garbage that we see today, right? So the aesthetic of a hip hop artist today is a black male or female. In the case of a male, you know, the male has dreads, a fitted cap, skinny jeans sagging, some diamonds on his wrist, and a necklace, and he's rapping. In terms of a female, it's a girl with a BBL, you know, plastic parts. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with plastic surgery, but what I'm saying is it's an aesthetic that's being pushed. You have to look this way. So because of that, someone that's young that doesn't understand that will think, oh, if it's a white girl like Liv dancing, she's appropriating hip hop. And that's not true. There's no such thing as appropriation unless you are trying to exploit it for money. But if you're doing it for the love, then you are hip hop and you belong in the culture. And so I literally wrote a book about it because that's been the talk in hip hop as well, not just ballroom. Now, and again, I can't speak for ballroom culture, but hip hop has always been inclusive, and it was created by kids that kids that were honestly inspired by the civil rights movement, right? Latinos, young black youth that were inspired by people like Martin Luther King.
Exactly.
And Rosa Parks and Malcolm X, and the list goes on and on. Malcolm X, even towards the end of his life, started embracing every shade of black. There isn't just one shade of black. There are, 52 shades? You know what I mean? And so hip hop is amorphous. It's a culture that embraces everything. And to exclude and isolate and say this is for one particular race, to me, goes against everything that hip hop is about. So
yeah.
Anyone here that wants to interact with hip hop, whether you dance, DJ, rap, write graffiti, if you don't have this complexion, interact with the culture with confidence. Because some of the b-boys, breakers, that I respect the most are white. Mr. Freeze in the movie Flashdance kills it. And he used to break and do electric boogie. One of the graph writers that I respect the most was a white guy named Tracy 168. To this day, graph writers imitate his style. There are DJs all over Europe that I could name that serve as huge influences and inspirations on me. And obviously, yes, black youth are the vanguards of hip-hop culture. Black youth like Grandmaster Flash, Africa Bambaataa, Kool Herc, Grandmixer DST, Tony Tone. I could go on and on. These are the kids that dropped that first seed, right, into the ground. And now hip-hop's become this tree. But it's a group effort, man. And, you know, I really get offended when I hear people say, well, or ask, do I belong because I'm not black? Or someone told me I'm appropriating because I'm not black. And is that right? That annoys me because it's going backwards. And hip-hop is about going forward.
Evolving.
You know?
Evolution.
Evolving, exactly.
Yeah.
Motion.
to piggyback what he just said, like, yo, when it comes to like, for example, and I think the reason why there's so much like discourse because of that, when it comes to like the oppressors and stuff like that, we already know about police brutality. We already know about like slavery. We already know about all those things. But the whole reason why a lot of art was created is to bring people together, right? When we didn't feel like fighting, as like black people, whatever the case may be, when we didn't feel like fighting, when we didn't feel like shooting, we're like, yo, bro, we talk to them, it's not gonna help. We fight, it's not gonna help. Bro, let's do it through music. Let's do it through dance. Let's go and we could start literally like a protest, but the way we're doing these protests is even the way they would say it, they would write things down. Some of them would be graffiti, some of them would paint, and they would walk within rhythm and say how they would feel, right? There's no violence to that, right? So even when it comes to dance, the whole point was to be able to connect with different people. It's not like this is only mine and you can't do it because, no, that doesn't exist. That's not supposed to exist, to be honest with you. The reason why, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, then Theo, you were asking about white rappers in Norway, and you're mixed? I just, coming to Norway as a Puerto Rican rapper, I like when rappers rhyme in their voice. So when he was talking about like the OG Norwegian rappers, like there's this group called Warlocks, they rap so good in English, they do graffiti. I love the Warlocks. Son of Light raps in English. That they rap in their Norwegian English accent. Then I'm gonna say what he said, I'm not gonna say any names. There's a Norwegian rapper that's so talented and he speaks very proper English. But once he's on a mic, he be talking like this, like I'm from Queens, New York, and yo zippity zip flip. And he just turns it on. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a second.
But that's not appropriation, that's like biting.
That's appropriation, right?
Yes.
When you're not being yourself.
When you're not being yourself,
Right.
yes.
She's
yes.
Australian, but then she sounds like I'm
Right.
a hood rap from Atlanta,
Right.
Georgia.
That's
Yeah, what up?
appropriation.
How I do? And you're like, whoa, slow down. But then devil's advocate, I do like to see both sides. This isn't rap, because UK rappers rhyme with the accent. I'm very proud, so I rhyme like this, bruv. But Adele, Amy Winehouse, Duffy, all those British female singers grew up on Etta James and Nina Simone. None of them are singing like, I can't think of an Adele song, but they don't sing in their accent. They sing like American soul singers.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a fine line. Like, can you, is Wu-Tang Asian appropriation, or can I eat with chopsticks? No, you must use a fork. No chopsticks for you, mister. Like, nah, chill with that.
Yeah.
So I think use your real voice. Be yourself. Don't put on a voice, and I want to hear your voice.
Here's the thing, too. And, Lo, I'm going to let you finish because I know you were onto something. But we're only talking about this in 2025 because of the polarization that's been taking place worldwide. And obviously, you guys see it from here, what's happening in America with Trump and, you know, MAGA. And that mindset, that nationalism that's taken hold, it's now poisoning hip-hop culture. So it's affecting the way hip-hop is being communicated by younger people that are adapting this nationalistic black first mindset, honestly. You know, and I know it might sound weird saying it because I'm black, right? So it's like, wow, I did not expect him to come out that way, but like it's just the truth. Like, I personally feel like the beauty, as Law was saying about this culture, is that it was created to bring people together. I was in a breaking crew when I was 11 years old. It was me, dark skin, Colombian, 3 Puerto Ricans, and we had one white boy down with us, and his name was Billy. And we would call him White Boy Billy. Yo, where's White Boy Billy? And he would do the illest moves just like us. And it didn't matter that we were from different parts of the world. What mattered was, can he dance? That's all. And so for anyone here that's struggling with that or feels like, you know, should I interact with this culture although I'm not black, get that out of your mind. Because hip hop belongs to the people that do it, not to a race, you know? And that's a divide and conquer trick, you know? To control people, you divide them first, right? And it's happening now within hip hop, unfortunately. And there's a minority of the OGs, a small amount of the OGs that are subscribing to that mentality. You see them in interviews saying stuff like, yeah, it's black culture. I don't see it as a culture that belongs to a race. Hip hop is are you down culture.
100% agree. Yeah, like, and this is a thing too I want to say, like, the reason why these conversations are happening is because some people want to be able to get into culture and not be educated by what it is. That's why there's a lot of appropriation in it too sometimes. But the whole point is to be able to connect with people and bring people together. You know what I'm saying? There is people, this is true, especially sometime in New York City, bro. I taught a class in New York City, and there wasn't really that much black people. Majority of the time, there was like Asians. And then I was like, you guys want to learn hip hop freestyle? They was just like, yeah. I was like, what music you guys listen to? And they was just like, I don't know. And I was like, do you guys know who Nas is? No. I was like, what? You don't know who Nas is? No, we don't know who Nas is. And then, like, just to go back to it, you also have to understand why these rappers or why these movement artists or dancers, you may call them too, was important during the time. Why, even like if we're going to even go back, way back, the very first street dance style was tap dancing. It was jazz. You feel me? So you also have to understand that, like, what they was doing behind it, it was a protest too behind it, what they was doing. Because there's certain people who wasn't allowed to play at certain casinos, like certain shows and certain things like that. They wasn't. So they fought for it. They fought for that, right? And this is what we meant when we say, yo, we just want you to be educated in this. You know, you could come through, obviously, but we want you to be educated in this. You know how many people gave like Eminem flang, bro? Bro, they still not beating him in a battle, bro. There's so many people, my skin color, like, I could beat Eminem in a rap. Cool, go ahead, do it. Right. Pull something out, and I'm like, bro, he's excuse my French, but I'm like, bro, Eminem's whooping your ass. Like, it's
about creativity, not color.
Yeah, it's about creativity, yo.
You know, that's basically it.
And also, you have to look, just like what he said, like, it's within the name. I was going to mention that, but then he said it, and I was like, thank God. It's like Wu-Tang Clan. Wu-Tang Clan, bro. Come on. You know, we're inspired by, like, different things, you know? And we create whatever it is that we're inspired by to helpfully grow something else, so something else could blossom. You feel me? And I think those things are very, very important, right? There's a difference between culture appropriation, and there's a difference between, like, accepting this culture. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. There's a difference between cultural appreciation and appreciation. These are two different things.
Just kind of like respond. I think what I'm understanding is like you can appropriate hip hop in a sense, but it's not you're not appropriating it just because you're white. But you can appropriate and happen to be white. But you can also do it. And
you could appropriate hip hop and be black.
Yeah.
You know, I could give you a lot of examples of black moguls that rob their artists.
Yo, I'm gonna be real with you. There's people who are culture vultures, and people think that culture vultures is only a term for people who are like a lighter shade. No, bro, there's black people who are culture vultures. It's crazy. It's actually insane. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say it's all about, like, the care that you have for this. That's it. And how genuine you are about it.
Are you guys aware that Puff Daddy?
Oh my God!
Convinced.
Who is that?
Who is that?
Are you aware that P. Diddy tricked? I was gonna say convinced, but that's a PC way of saying it. I'm just gonna be blunt. P. Diddy tricked Notorious B.I.G. into selling him his publishing. Do you guys know what publishing is? Right. So just to clarify, publishing is basically the way an artist like Biggie, who writes his songs, makes his money. Imagine taking a poor kid from the street, telling him he was going to get one lump sum if he gave over his publishing, knowing that the publishing was going to be worth 10 years down the line, millions of dollars. Right? And what did this poor kid from Brooklyn do? Here's my publishing. This is P. Diddy, my skin complexion, tricked his own artist into selling him his publishing. That's being a culture vulture. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like it's not.
It still happens.
It's not about the color that you are. It's about creativity, and it's about whether or not you appreciate the culture or the outcome of the culture, whether it's going viral, followers, making money. If that's what you're in it for, then you're going to be a poison to this thing that we call hip hop. But if you're in it for the reasons that people like Liv, myself, Law, Zeps, Zik is, then you're down, regardless of the complexion. You see, there's like a rainbow here, right? There's like a rainbow here. But this is what hip hop looks like. Seriously. And I know it may sound corny, but it's the truth. This is what hip hop looks like. It's not all black people up here, right? So that topic bothers me so much that I wrote a book about it called The City of Hip Hop. And I suggest you guys read it and educate yourself on what inspired this culture. Because it wasn't just about kids DJing, rapping, writing graffiti, and breaking. It was deeper than that.
I just want to say,
we are way over time.
Okay.
So this topic it's a big topic. We could talk about it forever.
Just want to say thank you.
Thank you so much to our guests. Big up to them. And thank you so much for coming and sitting here listening to us for 2 hours. Word.